especially in Azure. So I'm basically working for a project where I'm actually implementing this infrastructure and also DevOps solution from the scratch, and currently located in Germany. So today we are actually going to continue with a second demo class, which is actually a continuation class from yesterday. So let me just quickly share my screen, and then we can basically give a start. So yesterday we basically tried to understand how really this cloud is helpful for anybody who really want to make use. But I know that you guys may not be able to understand everything, but I try to just explain you one by one. So if you can see my presentation in my screen, this is basically kind of Azure data center. So what I talked yesterday, so I talked about a cloud provider, right? So when I say cloud provider, so for example, when I say this cloud provider, we have really lots of clouds available. For example, you can say AWS, you can say Azure, you can say DistalVersion, you can say GitLab, and there are lots of cloud providers are actually available. Okay, so GitLab is not a cloud provider, but it also has few cloud solutions and services. But anyways, I mean, when I basically say the cloud provider, what exactly they provide? So this is something that we also have to understand. So for example, let's say being a person that who really want to basically buy a mission. For example, you want to buy a laptop, right? So let's say you want to buy a laptop. How do you purchase? I mean, based on which factors that you purchase a laptop. So eventually, suppose you select the CPU, it means how much speed it actually processes, whatever the data that you are actually, operating, or whatever the operations that you are doing. And also the amount of RAM. So it means the shared memory that you have in your laptop, and also the storage, that how, how much storage you really need, and so on. This is a basic understanding for everybody that who wants to buy a kind of, laptop, right, for your personal use. Then based on the CPU that you choose, for example, if you choose maybe 10 CPU, 15 CPU, or anything, so let's say you want to choose a RAM. So how much RAM that you want? You want to have 8 GB of RAM, 16 GB of RAM, or 32 GB of RAM, and it again depends. And then how much space you want? You want a 512 GB of RAM, 512 GB of storage, or 1 TB of storage, or 2 TB. Again, it depends. So it means basically whenever you actually want to purchase a laptop, you see lots of factors before you purchase. So based on these factors, the price of the laptop actually goes up and also goes down. If you only take the basic RAM memory in your laptop and basic 512 GB of storage, so your laptop prices, let's say it is 40K. But if you want more RAM and storage, then it would actually go up to 60K, 70K. It all depends on the configuration that you choose. So whatever the configuration, whatever you are actually looking at here, this is actually called as configuration, right? So this is basically called as configuration. So you are choosing your laptop based on your usages. If you are only using for your personal use, then what you do, you simply choose the basic configuration that you don't need much, RAM, much CPU, much, storage, and so on. But if you are using in order to implement maybe an application, in order to really, store lots of data, and so on, you want to play some video games and so on. So it requires more powerful configuration in order to really play with, whatever you want to do it. So this is all basic configuration that you always look whenever you want to purchase a particular laptop or, desktop, whatever you mean. So based on the laptop, for example, you want to buy a Windows, or you want to buy maybe, the Mac, or basically it depends on the kind of, purchase manufacturer you go, the prices also will go up and down, right? This is something that how you basically purchase a laptop. But you might be surprised why I'm actually talking about this, because I'm actually talking about, I'm going to talk about this data center, which I just, showed you in my presentation here. If you can look at here, this is basically Azure data center. And you should be understanding what exactly the data center is all about. Okay, so now what I basically mentioned in my example, I want to buy a laptop with this configuration, right? So now let me just give you an example. What I want to do it, I don't want to purchase my laptop, but I want to take the required configuration as rent basis. As rent basis. It means, for example, let's say Azure is basically a cloud provider who provides, the resources which are required on rent basis. So now when I say that, let's say there is a memory racks. So there are many racks available, let's say in here. And so this is 8 GB of memory, and this is 16 GB of memory. This is 24 GB of memory. This is 32 GB of memory, and this is 64 GB of memory. This is basically a RAM, for example. And now I want to go for a CPU here. So for example, processing unit. So if you can also see in here, so there are again, 8 CPU rack, and 10 CPU rack, 12 CPU rack, and 15 CPU rack, or 16 CPU rack, and so on, right? And then let's say I also have the storage. I also put it in the table as a rack. Okay. So you can see I have 512 GB, and I have 1 TB, and I have 1.5 TB, and I have 2 TB, right? So when you look at this table, what I'm actually going to talk about, so Azure basically has all these resources ready in their data center. So it means, what exactly it means, data center is a location where all the resources are actually, already kept, and you only take it as a rent basis. For example, let's say I want my, VM, so which is also in your case as laptop. I just want to compare, that's it, to make you understand. I just want to compare. Okay, a VM is similar to what I was actually talking about, your laptop. So now I want a laptop, I want a VM with 16 GB of RAM for 1 month. How many days that I want to use? I want to use for 1 month. I'm sorry, 30 days. I just gave 13. So I want to use it for 30 days. Then I want a configuration. I want a RAM of 16 GB. And I want, the faster CPU, 16 CPU, for example. I want 1 TB of storage. And then my VM is ready with my own configuration. So I can use this laptop with this configuration for almost 30 days. So what I do, I pay to the Azure for these 30 days of usage. Okay, but if you can look at here, why I was basically putting as a rack. So you can say that these are actually racks where they keep different configuration of the RAM storage and so on. And they will, whatever the storage that we select, whatever the configuration that we select, we are using the respective configuration in our particular VM. So now when I actually go and look at your, Azure data center, as I told you, Azure data center is basically a location where they maintain the resources. So this is how it looks like. So if you can look at here, there are really different racks available. It is very pretty much bigger data center. A data center is a location where all the resources are actually maintained by the cloud provider. So now you can see lots of resource racks basically available. Whenever you choose, maybe let's say 16 GB of RAM, 1 TB of storage, maybe 10 CPU, you are actually taking rent from one of these, racks into making of your VM, and you can just use it for 30 days. So for example, if you take a 16 GB of RAM, you might be taking from here. And if you take maybe 2 TB of storage, you might be taking from this rack. So this is something that how the data center really looks like. Okay, a data center is nothing but it is a location where the resources are actually maintained by the cloud provider. So what exactly the cloud provider basically does? So they provide you the resources on rent basis. That is basically called as a consumption model, which is actually operational consumption model that we already discussed yesterday. So you take for rent and you can just use it for 30 days, and then you can only pay for 30 days of the usage that whatever you have done. Okay, so this is something that what a data center is basically looking like. So for example, I also want to show you that how a real-time data center looks like. Maybe I can take Azure data center and then I select. If you can look at here, maybe I will go to the images, see how much, how much big it is. So these are the different locations of, the data centers maintained by, the Microsoft. So there are really pretty much bigger, the data centers available across the globe. So now let's try to basically go to the next level. So once we understand this data center, so as I told you, the data centers basically are, spread across the globe. What exactly it means? So as I told you, the data center. So if you can see, if you can look at here, maybe you take a location, Mumbai, you have a data center. Yeah. And this is a data center. I'm just saying DS. And you have in Delhi, for example, and you have in maybe California. Yeah. And you have a data center, and you have, a location, maybe Europe, West Europe. So it is a data center. So it means across the globe, there are really different data centers are actually located. So for example, if you are actually staying in Mumbai, so you might be interested in taking the resources from this data center, but you're not restricted to take from other locations. For example, let's say you are working from India, right? And you want to take the resources from the Europe, then you are actually allowed to take. Okay, if you want to take it from maybe California, you can basically take it. Okay, but one important thing that you should know, you are basically using the resources from the different locations, from the different data centers. Based on the locations that you basically select, you are always paying money for the resources. For example, let's say, what do I mean by that? So if you are basically taking resources, let's say from the West Europe, then your price basically changes. If you are basically using the resources from the Mumbai data center, the price basically changes. If you are taking from maybe, let's say, Delhi data center, then your price basically changes. So you should know, based on the locations, the way that you are using resources, the prices basically change. So you should always be aware that you always look at the location whenever you are actually using the resources. Okay, so this is something that what a data center is all about. Data center is the location where the resources are maintained by the cloud providers. So these data centers are actually spread across the globe. So you should remember one thing: whenever you want to use the resources from the different data centers, you should always be understanding that you are paying based on the location from where you are actually using it. Okay, so this is something that how that data centers actually looks like, and how you actually can use the resources and so on. Okay, so now let me just quickly go into the locations of the data center. So what you can do it, so you can say Azure global infrastructure. So if you say Azure global infrastructure, if you click on here, you can see that there are different this is not the link, global infrastructure, explore, not the services. I just want to, so this is the one. So if you click on this Azure global infrastructure, you can click on here. If you just come down, this is basically how the whole data center looks like, as I already showed you. But if you want to see the globe, so it is a 3D, I mean the globe, which is actually provided for you. You can basically see and click on this explore the globe, where you can see how many data centers are actually located across the globe and where they are located. So you can see how many data centers basically are located. You can see in the globe, view from the Microsoft data centers. So you can see these are all different locations where you can see lots of, the data centers available across the globe. So you can simply look at that, how, you can also get all the details with respect to the data centers available across the globe by the Microsoft. Okay, so this is something that what exactly the details with respect to the data centers. And now let me just quickly go into maybe further step what I want to do it. So I basically want to let you know that what you need to understand before we really go into further steps. So you need to understand two things here. One is that Azure physical infrastructure that you already know. So it means, so whatever the data centers which I've shown you, those data centers are actually called as Azure physical infrastructure. So they maintain all the resources basically, by the Microsoft in the data centers. And then there is also one more thing is basically called management groups. So management groups. So I would basically let you know, I would explain you in a bit regarding this management group. So just maybe you can just wait 1 or 2 minutes to go to understand these management groups. So before I actually go and try to explain you these management groups, I would like to explain you that how exactly you can create an account maybe in the Azure. So before I talk about, the account creation, I would basically talk about two important things for all of you to really understand. One is that if you basically go to the Azure portal, so you can actually simply go to Azure portal and you simply say that Azure free trial. You can just simply search for the Azure free trial. So when you say Azure free trial, and you will get a link where you actually can route to the website where you can create an account in order to really make use the cloud resources for free of cost. But you can see here there is something which is really important for you to understand. So if you can look at here, explore free Azure services. Let me just quickly click on here. When I click on this Azure free services, I've been rerouted to a web page where you can see the details, right? So where you can see the details. So you can see these popular services. For example, if you want to create an account in Azure, what you get basically. So you can see when you want to create a Azure free tier, yes, of course you can create it, but there are three things that you should know: that you need to really sign up for an account in the Microsoft. That is a one thing. And then you have to subscribe for the Azure free account with your credit card. Okay, so you need to have an account before you sign up for the free account, and then you need to use your credit card or the Visa card or the MasterCard in order to really subscribe Azure free account. But one thing to let you know, if you basically want to create an Azure free account, you have to provide your credit card or the Visa card, but it is not necessarily that they will actually deduct money from your account. So it is free of cost. It is only for the verification that you are the valuable customer, you are really valid customer, that you want to use the Azure resources. But unless until you basically upgrade your plan, you are not really, charged a penny, a rupee from, Azure. So you do not need to worry about it. You simply can use your card in order to really subscribe Azure free account. And there is one more thing that I would like to say. Whenever Microsoft says that this is a free account for 1 year, that is not really true. That is not for free of cost, guys. So you can only use this free account for 30 days. But it is a kind of misleading. For example, if you can see here, it says that you can create a free account and popular services for free for 12 months plus, and 55 plus other services also free for always. And you also can get $200 of Azure credit. So this is true. So it means, if you can see here, you will have 30 days to use it. So it means as soon as you create your Azure free account, you will get $200 into your account. Then thereafter, you have to only use within 30 days of time. So if you don't use $200 of your credit, then your credit will be expired. Then you cannot really use after 30 days of your time. And also, most importantly, that your account will be disabled automatically. Okay, so this is a pretty much important a point for you. So please keep in your mind, and after 30 days your account will be disabled if at all you don't want to upgrade to the next plan. But we will talk about how do you upgrade, and what could be other plans you have. So you can see, if you want to see the popular services free for 12 months, you can see what you can get. If you can, for example, if you click here, and you can see what you can get in 12 months of time. So you can basically use the virtual missions. You can basically use the virtual missions. You can basically use the databases and so on. So you can see these are always basically you get it for 12 months. Okay, and you can always get this Cosmos DB always. And as I told you, don't be confused. If they say always, it does not mean that after 30 days you can also use, because your account will be disabled. You cannot really use always. But of course, there are other plans, as I told you, but we will talk about those plans later. But for now, you just think that you create an account for 30 days with your credit card, and then nothing will be charged for you. So you can use it for 30 days of time of a 200 of credit, that what you actually get it. Okay, so there's one more point. For example, if you can see 55 plus free services, you can see these are all 55 services. There are many services basically available, but I don't want to explain you now, because you don't understand if I actually talk about the services now. We can basically talk about the services later, step by step. as we go through our syllabus, what we have, then you will understand which service will be used for which is meant for. And then there is one more thing as an important point that I want to say. So as I told you, if you basically look at your global infrastructure, I made a point. The point I said is whenever you want to use a resources from the different location, for example, from here, as I told you, I have, let's say I want to use resources from the California data center. Okay, but you are actually located in Mumbai. And based on the locations, you have different prices, as I told you. But how do we know different prices for different resources? That you should know, being a starter who really want to start Azure Cloud. So what you can do it in order to really understand that, you simply go and search Azure pricing calculator. So if you basically go to this Azure pricing calculator, you will be rerouted to a web link where you can actually find out the prices based on the resources, based on the locations also. For example, let's say, so I don't want to talk about all the services now because you may not be able to understand. But now let's say I want to make use some storage. I want to make use some storage. So I want to calculate how much, how much per monthly basis that I have to pay if I use the resources from different locations, right? So let me just simply go and select. I want to use storage, and I want to make use the storage account. You can see as soon as I selected the storage account, so storage service, I've got I've got this view, and I simply click on here. And you can see that if you can look at here, you see based on different factors. So it means, as I told you, whenever you are paying money to the cloud provider, it really depends on many factors. So it depends on the region you have. It depends on the type you have. Of course, you may not be able to understand what is the type and so on, but for now, just ignore it if you don't understand. But the only point that I would like to say that there are really many factors depending on that you actually pay to the cloud provider. So for example, let's say if you just come down, how much I want to use? I want to use 1 TB. Yeah, so 1000 GB. Then come down. If you can look at here, if I select the East US region, okay, so I want to select East US region. I want to use the storage from this location. What is the monthly average price that I have to pay? For example, $20. Okay, and now let me just quickly change it to maybe UK South. I want to use the storage from the UK South. And what is the average monthly price now? It has been reduced. It is a 19.20. And maybe you can select other region as well. So you can just say maybe Switzerland. Yeah, so I want to select Switzerland, and you can see now the price is a bit hiked. So it means based on the locations that you select, if you want to use the resources, the prices basically change. So the way that you basically pay really, changes. So keep in mind, whenever you basically want to use the resources from the different locations, this is always important to keep in mind that you always have to think about the prices whenever you are using resources. Okay, so now then so you can also see, for example, let's say there is a performance. It means, for example, let's say performance, you can think like I want to access faster, for example, right? So there is a premium and standard. I want to select premium. Okay, so now let's see how much per month. Okay, so you can see 225. And if I select back to standard, then again it went back to 21. So it means there are really lots of factors really depending on different factors for the resources that you use and you pay. So keep in mind that you always have to look at all these factors before you use any resources. Of course, we will see, we will, while we are creating these resources, we will understand, step by step, and then we try to, go in a bit deeper. Okay, so this is something that what you also have to understand with respect to this Azure price calculator. Okay, maybe for your understanding what I try to do it, I also uh, show maybe a VM. So I want to use a virtual machine. So as I said, so I select this and I will go to view now. And let's say I want to use it from the West US, and you can see that what is the configuration. So as I told you, whenever you want to buy a system, whenever you want to buy a laptop, you have a configuration which you have 80 GB of 8 GB of RAM, 50 GB of hard disk, or whatever, right? So you can see the configuration. Let's say what I try to do it, I try to select the a 28 GB of RAM and so on, right? So if I select it, how much the price I'm just paying a monthly 481. So let me just change it to maybe the basic RAM. So now let me just come down. How much I'm paying? $14. So it means that it is as similar as we actually do it as we buy laptop from the different manufacturers with the different configurations. So this is something that what you also have to understand when you are basically looking at using the resources from the Azure cloud. Okay, so this is something that what I wanted to give you some details before we really go and create an account. And let me just go and quickly show you that how you can create an account. So in fact, this is quite easy for all of you. I mean, everybody knows that to sign up an account, it could be as easy that we create an account maybe in the in any one of the social websites. So this is a straightforward. So you actually go Azure Free Tier, you search for Azure Free Tier, and then go to this free services and you click on this start free. Yeah. So maybe I will go to other accounts which I have. So you simply go in here, Azure Free Tier, and you click on here, and then go to start free, and then go to start free. So when you basically start free, in fact, it will ask you your email ID and password and verification. But this time it is asking me directly, the agreement, because you can see that I have created an account also. So maybe what I try to do it, I try to open maybe incognito mode. So I will say Azure Free Tier. And then now I try to say, because I want to show you that what it will ask. Now, when I say start free, now it is basically asking for the sign in. But if I don't have sign in, what you do, you are actually going to create one. And as I told you, the first step that what you have to do, you have to create an account in the Microsoft. And thereafter, you are actually going to sign up for this Azure free account. Okay. So now this is something that how you do it. So once you create it, what you are actually going to do, you are basically going to sign up for the free Azure services. So for example, let me just go and quickly give a new email ID. So what I try to do it, I try to create a Outlook email ID. So outlook.com. So there is the outlook.com where you can create a free account like you create in the Gmail ID. So I will say real-time hub and at outlook.com. And then I'm just creating a password for this. So I have my account will be created in real-time trainings. So then I simply go in here. So I will select my location, Germany, and then I would just give whatever the date of birth that I think. So then I will go to next. and I will create a new account. Okay, so I have to just solve this puzzle, then it will basically, my account is ready. So I have a new account now. So realtime hub at outlook.com. I will basically use this realtime hub outlook.com. So in order to create my free account. So now I actually go and take, so I take the email ID which I have created. So this is the one, and I will use real time at outlook.com. So I will go, and there is already one email ID. Okay, it is asking for me to create. So use your email ID. Realtime hub at outlook.com. So okay, so I will say realtime hub to at outlook.com. So I'm creating a new one. So as a process, it's quite simpler, but yeah. So this is something what I did. I have created one more account for signing up the Microsoft account. Of course, I can also use the existing one, but I just don't want to waste my time. So if you can see here, I have basically created an account. It means you have to create an account. Now it is basically asking for the free account creation. So now you can see here, I'm just entering real time, and I'm basically entering real-time hub trainings. And then come down, you can just give your email ID, and you can also give a text me. So you have to enter your mobile number. I'm just going to enter my mobile number here. So simply I can use 1520 213 and 505020. Yeah, so then I'm just getting some SMS here, and then I've got my SMS ready. So you simply go and then create your account. So verify code, and once this is done, you simply enter the location where you are in. So I don't want to enter everything, and I want to basically enter 791 and so yeah, so this is something that how you do it. You agree to the agreement what you have, but you see that whenever you are validated with all these details, then you really have to enter your card details. So once you enter your card details, then you are rerouted to your Azure portal. So since I already have created an account, then I'm not actually going to create one more account, because this is something that what I already have done. If you can look at here, so this is something that how you get it. You simply sign up giving your account details and do the sign up, and then you will be rerouted to the Azure portal. Okay, so now how do you basically get your Azure portal? Okay, so now maybe let me just quickly check how your uh, Azure portal will look like. For example, if I actually go to one of the accounts which I already have, so I will say portal.azure.com. So I will simply, so I can show you. This is basically how you will also be getting once you add your credit card. So as I'm telling you, you're not charged anything. Maybe a verification charge, maybe 2 rupees or 1 rupee. Even for me, there was nothing charged, but there is no, you do not need to worry about your credit card details. Once you enter, you are basically pretty much safe. Okay. So now, as soon as you basically enter, you will have this Azure portal. How do you go? And there is a website called portal.azure.com. Okay, so portal.azure.com is a URL where you actually enter and you will get forwarded to. So once you get into this, you will get this kind of view. So for example, if you can see, this is basically how it looks like. The very first thing that what you actually have to see on the left side, you have really whatever the resources, whatever the services that you can create as a part of this Azure cloud, you have everything on the left side. Okay. And also what you need to understand, you can also have all the services on top. Yeah. So you can also see what are the services that you have created, but nevertheless, you do not need to worry about it. We will talk about, one by one resource that how we create it. But the only thing that I wanted to show you here to make you understand, as soon as you create it, you will not have all these things. You will only have one thing, that Azure subscription. So you can see here. So as soon as you create a new account, then your new account basically gets created as a subscription. So that is basically called a subscription. So you can see you will get a subscription ID, but let me just try to make you understand what is a subscription. Okay, so what you do it, you basically purchase a plan, right? You want to purchase a plan maybe from AHA. You want to purchase a plan maybe from AWS Prime, right? So these are all the streaming services where you want to purchase different plans in order to watch movies. So what you do, you will subscribe it, right, based on the plan. So you, let's say you want a plan maybe for 40 for a month, you want to plan for a year, you want to plan for 3 months, and so on. What it is called, this is basically called a subscription, right? So it means the same way, whenever you purchase whenever you basically create an account, initially how it works, it works like a subscription. What is that? The subscription is nothing but the plan that you have chosen. So when you create a plan which is a free account, that is a free subscription. What is that? That is the free subscription. So it means that the subscription is basically the plan that you purchased from the Azure cloud. So this subscription is nothing but the plan details that what you have purchased. Okay. So now the other questions also I would get basically from the students, that I have Azure. Now I want to purchase 3 subscription. Subscription 1, subscription 2, subscription 3. Can I? Yes, of course you can. Okay. So under your Azure, you have almost 3 subscriptions. That is absolutely possible. Okay. So as I told you, a subscription is nothing but the plan that you purchased from the cloud provider in order to make use the resources or the services from the cloud. Okay, so this is something how exactly the structure looks like. Okay, now let me just go a bit more, but before that, let me just quickly show you. For example, if you can see here, my account, whatever the Azure account which I subscribed 30 days before, this is already expired, as I told you. So this is the reason why I told you, after using 30 days, your account is basically gets expired. Okay, so how do you really want to continue using the services? So let me just click on this here, and you can see that as soon as you clicked on this expired subscription, now it is basically giving you more details. So what is the detail? Move to pay as you go pricing. For free services and uninterrupted access to Azure. So what it means your account is already disabled, but if you want to use the services which are already free, then if you want to use them, you have to upgrade your plan to pay as you go. Pay as you go. Okay, so this is something with respect to that what I really wanted to show you, and don't be confused here. So you can also select which one you really want. As I told you, a subscription is nothing but a plan which you want to buy in order to use the resources. Okay, so now if you can look at here, I actually would like to go for a basic. Yeah, and you can click on basic, and you also get for individuals or the teams that need billing and subscription management support do not require a technical support. It means if you take the basic subscription plan, you will not get a technical support from the Azure. So why do you take the basic subscription? Because you want to just, learn something, and you want to basically test something and so on. When you really want to do some kind of testing, why do you need a support from the Microsoft? So this is not needed, right? So then what you actually can do it, you can simply select the basic and you actually can upgrade it. But I don't want to do it because I have lots of other subscriptions also in place. Okay, but if at all you really want to, take other plans, you actually can, look at the details of the subscription plans. Then based on your requirement, you can basically select whatever subscription you want. But, and also if you actually, I'm not actually going to subscribe here, and you can also see for every subscription, you actually get an ID tied to that. Okay, so you can see this is a subscription ID where you can see, and under the subscription, as I told you, this is basically where you see the usages that you have done. It means you have used maybe some resources, you have basically used some 8 GB of RAM, 1 TB of storage, maybe 2 CPU and so on. So for everything, it is actually built here. Okay, so your free account has expired. So where you can see, you can actually come down to the notification. So under the notification, you will see the details, given by the Microsoft. Microsoft will notify you with respect to the plan is actually getting expired, how much of credit that you have got, and so on. Okay, on the left side, you can also see some kind of details. Okay, let us not actually go to each detail because we are actually going to discuss later. But you can see here, if you want to see the billing, profile invoices, you can also go to maybe the billing profile invoices. So you can see how much bill is generated. If you click on here, you can see the bill is basically how much is generated. So you can also see here what resources I actually have used and what are the different kind of products that I've used with this particular invoice that I actually have to pay. Okay, so this is something that how you get it. You can also download, the invoice if you want, and this is where you can also export the invoice into your CSV. So this is something with respect to this Azure subscription. Subscription is nothing but it is just a kind of a plan what you subscribed in order to use your resources from a cloud provider. Okay, now as I told you here, if you can look at this structure. So Azure has a kind of structure, a management structure. As I told you, Azure has a management structure. So it means that you have different subscriptions under this. Maybe I can show you one of the. So you can see that. Yeah, so I have it here maybe. So you can see here, this is basically how the structure really looks like. So you have an Azure account, of course you have it. Yes. So how do you basically look at here? So this is basically your account, right? And then under the account, what you basically have the subscription. So you can see you have the subscription here, right? So under the account, you have the subscription. And under the subscription, what you have resource groups. What exactly the resource group? A resource group is nothing but a logical collection of the resources. So it means, let me just give you a basic understanding what exactly the resource group. So let's say you have account, Azure account, and under which you have, let's say, subscription 1 and subscription 2. And under, let's say, subscription 2, you have number of resource groups, RG1. I'm just saying resource group, RG1, RG2, RG3. And under which you are actually going to create resources. So how many resources you create, that depends on your project and everything. So all these resources are actually logical grouping of resources. That is basically called resource group. A resource group is nothing but a grouping of all the resources that you have created. And a resource group is basically created under the subscription. The subscription is basically created under the Azure account. Okay, so this is basically the structure that how really it looks like as soon as you create an Azure account. Okay, so of course we talk about this Azure group creation and Azure resources and further more things in later sessions. But for today, these are the details that I would like to really share with you and maybe try to explain you. Okay, so now I guess, as I told you, this is something I don't know if somebody joined new today. For those who did not join yesterday, so this is the syllabus that we are actually going to discuss. So this syllabus can be downloaded from the Ashok IT. So you can just ask them, you can download it from them. So you can see the syllabus. So as I told you, this is a second demo with respect to this Azure cloud administration, and there will be one more demo for free of cost. And from Monday, there will not be any demos. So for those who are interested, they have to continue from Monday by enrolling it. Okay, and also you will be getting all the recorded videos. It is valid for almost 1 year. You can access it for 1 year. And you can also get the material uploaded into the GitHub account. So I can share that link as well. Okay, so this is with respect to the second demo that I would like to share. And now this is a time for you guys to really ask questions. And you are free to ask questions now. The price is a 12,500. For those who did not attend yesterday's class, so the price is 12,500. So this is also, I mean, this is the first batch that we want to start with 12,500, but from the next batch, this price will not be valid anymore. Yeah, and now you can, yes, this is AZ104 certification. So of course, you actually can get all the contents with respect to AZ104. You can also get the ARM templates deployments and so on. So infrastructure as a code. So yeah, you can ask me. I mean, I can enable you guys to unmute. So you can also unmute yourself if you want. So I'm stopping sharing, but now you guys can ask me questions. Do we need any prerequisite for attending this course? Not really. We are actually going from the scratch. And due to network issue, I got disconnected. What is the fee? It is 12,500, Amit. Yes, with recordings. Yes. This is only for, this first batch, not for next batch. Duration, it basically lasts from 30 days to 45 days. In Azure account, I don't have credit card. Can I use debit card for account creation? So as I told you, if it is a Visa, MasterCard, which are supported by Microsoft, you can also use debit card. If you don't have the supported cards, I'm sorry for that. So there is also one more way I can tell you once we start with the classes. There is basically a way, a sandbox creation through which you also can practice, but it is always good to create a free account. If you really don't have it, you please actually get it maybe from somebody, from your friend. Of course, they don't give you, but as I told you, if your card is not supported by Microsoft, I cannot really help you with that.
Lakshman, in this part, will you cover that Azure Active Directory also?
Yes, but Azure Active Directory, there is also a security, complete security, course exam, for security only. But that course, that exam contents will not be covered. So the security, whatever we needed for this AZ104, that will be covered. So what's the validity of the recording? So as I said, it will be 1 year. Can you please share the course content over here? Yes, I can do that, but I don't know whether I can ping here. Let me try if I can. So, I think there is a problem while I'm basically sharing in here. I am unable to do it. Please download it from, maybe you can drop your email here. I can try to send you out. Okay. Actually, I have a couple of friends who did not join today, but they are interested. So first asking for course content. Yes, there is no problem, Amit. So as I told you, the content will be shared. Please send me your email ID. Yes, I just a moment. I will take your email ID and then send across your email ID. So your email ID is noted. So you will get the content. So for those who are interested, they can also start enrolling the course. No problem, Amit. Yes.
Hello, Prakshit.
Yes, Achut, yes.
After 30 days of creating the Azure account, uh, for the basic plan, you should pay for that.
Yes, as I told you, if you use the services, for example, you have only used limited resources, then you only pay limited resources prices. So as I told you, when you are using the resources, please make sure that you use the resources which are not expensive. So use the basic configuration, then you are not charged much. But as I'm promising you, if you basically practice for 30 days, I guess it is more than enough. But if at all you really want to extend it, and I will also tell you, you can create one more account with a different credit card and with different account name. So you can do that.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys? Any other questions?
Sir, is it only credit card? Can't we use debit card also? Visa debit
As
card?
no, as I told you, so if the Visa is supported by Microsoft, you can use it. Sure.
Okay. It's not limited to credit only.
No. As I told you, there are different types of cards can be supported by Microsoft. You can use them. So, sir, what is the validity of the recordings? As I told you, it is valid for 1 year. So you can access recordings for 1 year. Yes.
With respect to interviews, are you giving any resume preparation tips and FAQs?
Yes, I have couple of draft resumes, so I will share with you guys. You can just modify according to your profile, and then you can just put it in the market. That's possible.
Okay. At least we can try with 2 to 3 years experience with this training.
Yeah, for sure. You can try, sure.
And nowadays, everyone expecting multi-cloud experience, right? So,
See the point, Nagprasad. So the point is, if they are basically expecting multi-cloud, but at least to operate the other cloud, you should know the cloud concepts. So when you know the cloud concepts, and across the different cloud also they are same. So for example, you know the concept of these VPC, then virtual network, and you can also apply the same concept maybe in AWS and maybe in DigitalOcean or in other clouds in Google. So the only thing, the naming conventions changes, but as I told you, even based on the cloud, for example, if you put your profile as Azure, you still have opportunities for Azure cloud also. So everybody expects more, it basically happens. But if you are pretty much, for example, let's say in my project, so we are using Azure, and I do interviews who are really having a profile with Azure expertise. I don't take the person who really into AWS, because that is, that is a valuable profile for me as far as my project requirement is concerned. So that is wrong. I mean, every project does not require multi-cloud, but each project will have a different kind of requirements. Based on the requirement, you will be recruited.
okay, thank you.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
I have completed AZ 900 external certification. After this course, if I complete AZ 104 external certification, if I get any good job opportunity like that.
Absolutely. So AZ 104 will really cover the whole Azure administration. So you actually get everything, how you have to maintain this Azure cloud. So you are pretty much good, to go into the market.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So any other questions, guys?
Yeah, one more question from me.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, up to what extent we need to have DevOps tools knowledge also in this course?
So yeah, understood. So the point is, when a DevOps engineer basically work as a DevOps guy should know the cloud also a bit. But when the other person is basically working on Azure cloud, they do not need to know all the DevOps, So this is something that everybody has to understand. So if somebody is basically learn DevOps, then DevOps guy should know the Azure cloud. But if the guy who is actually working in the cloud, he can be a system engineer, he can be a cloud administrator, he can be, cloud maintainer, and so on. So he does not need to be a DevOps guy, So that way, really, that nobody does not need to worry about these kind of scenarios for a person who really want to learn this Azure.
Okay, thank you.
So any other questions, guys? Okay, so if there are no any questions, then I can wind up the call for today, and we can meet tomorrow again. So tomorrow will be the last demo for this session. Yeah. And see you and have a nice evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir.